Tuesday, September 15th, 2020. Good morning from Europe. Good afternoon, good evening, guys, whatever you are. Piotr here is Light Forex Global YouTube channel. Let's start with risk warning. Please bear in mind trading on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for investors who can sustain a loss of some or all initial investment. So please do not invest the money you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. All right, what's going on, guys? Let's start with RBA minutes and with Australian dollar. We hit some levels even a little bit higher than what we discussed yesterday. I've started to have a little bit short exposure when it comes to the Australian dollar. RBA, what they said, the most important thing, they don't like the overall, taking into consideration a few weeks, they don't like the Australian dollar strength, right? So right after the minutes, they got even stronger Australian dollar, right? So we've seen some kind of the stop hunting, but as discussed yesterday, we hit the top of the channel, and once we got back into that channel, right, there was quite few attempts to go through that level and close above, but overall every time we closed below. So I do expect that's gonna be same today. Daily open, so levels close to 72.90, right? And weekly open levels close to 72.75 as a current support, and of course top of that channel today's high as a possible supply when it comes to the Australian dollar. Let's switch lower. Let's have a look if we can do something in addition. If you remember the over under, so this spike to the upside, right, in relation to what we have to the left side, right, that could work as your supply zone. We are talking about the levels close to 7.325, all right? So that's where I'm looking for intraday supply. If you are a buyer, if you like Australian dollar to the upside, on the other hand, right, so probably stop count below 72.50, so meaning that trying to clean the levels we discussed, daily open, weekly open, as low as 72.34 could be your buying opportunity when it comes to the Australian dollar. So that's what happened post RBA, but also during the Asian hours we had Chinese data, and of course the Chinese guys, they are master of printers, so all the data green. Industrial production 5.6 versus 5.1 expectations, retail sales 0.5 versus 0 expectations, stable unemployment rate at 5.6. So that's the Australian dollar. Let's jump into the cable. All right. We got earlier today the Claimant Count Change 73.7, better than what market expected. Average earning index also better, -1 versus -1.3 expectations. But overall, guys, what is important when it comes to the UK job market is that the people who are getting the support from the government, or their jobs are supported by the government, they are not counted as unemployment. So it's gonna be very, very interesting to see the real numbers. For example, at the beginning of the November for the October, right? So that's gonna be interesting. Anyway, we do remember strong move to the downside when it comes to the pound related to the Brexit, right? Overall, a little bit of the rally, but from the level we discussed, if you remember, we discussed that this broken swing high could provide some kind of the support. The rally of that level is not that great. I do expect more to come, and eventually retest of 2615 could be in place. That's something we already discussed. 2650, 2615, that's what we already discussed. So I'm looking to sell the rallies. What kind of the rallies, right? From the medium term perspective, I would like to see retest of that Thursday high, Wednesday high, right, in relation to this big supply. So I would like to see retest of 130, right, psychological level. We also have some quiet demand around 3080, and 3080 that was the challenge as well, if you remember. So from the medium term perspective, anything below let's say 3020, 3080 as possible supply level, right? From the intraday perspective, let's switch lower. When it comes to the pound, we might see this type of the rally towards 130, and as you can see here is a nice possible supply. This is the liquidity pool, right, and another possible supply, right? So from the intraday perspective, it's better visible, I would say. Okay, looks like for now the buyers are trying to line up around 2850, 2840. That's how I see the things when it comes to the pound. Eventually we might see a little bit more manipulation, the way that 1-to-1 retest of that low, and then eventually try to move higher. But anything below 130.20 on the pound, in my opinion, is bearish medium term. If you are a buyer, then first line intraday 2850, 2840 when it comes to the cable. And euro dollar, there you go. One thing important when it comes to the euro dollar is euro pound. Because of where we are, that's number one, right? If you do remember this over under a little bit of the pullback, that's what we have, and we should try to find the support below 91.50. All right, that's number one. Number two, when it comes to the euro dollar, so euro might be under pressure because of the euro pound, and here on the euro dollar we have huge option expiration around 1850. So taking into the consideration current 1885, that's 35 pips possible downside ahead of the option expiration. So somewhere close to the US cash open, right? And overall, ahead of the FOMC tomorrow, I think that the huge supply is around 1960, and demand is around the weekly open and the bottom of the channel. That's the levels just shy below 1850. And as discussed yesterday, huge fight is currently going on. I would rather try to fade 1960, all right? And I would rather wait with the buying opportunity lower, right? I would like to see some kind of the spike towards 1780 eventually, right? Daily close above 1960, 1970 might be bullish and reopen 120, of course, but that's very close distance. But I would say rather to 2150. Well, Wednesday is the FOMC. Usually I'm saying that guys, the real reaction is gonna take place 24-48 hours after. This time it could be even longer than 48 hours, because Friday, guys, we have quadruple witches. Be careful out there. With that being said, looking for dollar buying opportunity overall around the FOMC. I think Fed is not going to kill the dollar this time. But anyway, we discussed Australian dollar, we discussed cable and euro dollar from the perspective of buyers and sellers when it comes to the intraday trading. I'm going to get back with the update close to US cash open. We will see how the indices are behaving. All right. With that being said, don't be trapped, guys, and see you around. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.